Hello, welcome to the HR Diary. Today, I'm going to show you how ChatGPT can help you with employee engagement analytics using these three examples. In the first example, correlation metrics, I will show you how ChatGPT can help you to derive the correlation between employee engagement score, customer satisfaction score, and revenue specific to an organization. In the second example, predictive analytics, I will show you how ChatGPT can help you to predict the impact of a 1% increase in employee engagement on an organization's revenue. In example 3, I will show you prescriptive analytics. I will show you how ChatGPT can help you to prescribe interventions to enhance employee engagement based on an organization's employee engagement feedback. So, how can we use ChatGPT for employee engagement analytics? Let's dive in and see it in action. So now, if I go to this website, chat.openai.com, I will be brought to this screen. Now, you will have to log into ChatGPT to come here. To learn how to sign up for ChatGPT, you can check out my YouTube channel, the HR Diary. So I have provided the link to this video in the description below this YouTube video. So check out my video, ChatGPT Crash Course, how to sign up and use ChatGPT. So this video will teach you how to sign up and use ChatGPT. Now, let's go back to the ChatGPT interface. So once you sign up and you log into ChatGPT, you will come to this interface and you can start asking questions here, right? At the bottom of the screen. So now let's get back to the Excel spreadsheet and get to our first example. So these are the three examples I will be going through: correlation metrics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. So now let's go into the correlation metrics. So now first thing first, what is correlation? So a correlation, when we have a positive correlation, it means that a positive one means there is a positive correlation. It means that the taller a person, the heavier the person. So when Y goes up, X also goes up. Both goes up together. This is called positive correlation. And negative correlation is when the correlation is -1. And this means that, for example, if Y goes up, X goes down. So an example is the more it rains, the less people go outdoor. So that is negative correlation. No correlation is when the coefficient for the correlation is 0 or around near to 0. So you look at this, there's no clear relationship between Y and X. So now here, I have some data over the years. So I have data over the years on employee engagement score, customer satisfaction score, and revenue. So in this example, I want to derive the correlation or the link between employee engagement, customer satisfaction, and revenue. So now to do this, let's select this data set here, click it, and select the copy. So I want to copy this data and paste it into ChatGPT. So now let's get to my ChatGPT screen. So at this ChatGPT screen, at this message bar here, click here, right click, and select paste. And then you can either click this button or you hit the enter key at your keyboard. So when I click this, let's see. All right. So ChatGPT is able to analyze my data here. All right. So it makes some observations of my data, and it also interprets my data. Okay. Next, this data is difficult to see. I want to convert this data into a table. So how do I do it? At this box here, let's type convert the above data set into a table. And I hit enter on the keyboard. So it converts that into a table. See, it's converting this into a table. So let's let it run. All right. Next. Now I want ChatGPT to create a correlation matrix for this table. So to do that, type in the word create a correlation matrix for the above data set. And then I click this button. All right. So he has created a correlation matrix, and then it explains to you what it means. Right? So it tells you a correlation coefficient ranges from -1 to 0 to 1. So a value of 1 indicates a perfect positive correlation. -1 indicates a perfect negative correlation. Okay. So 1 is positive, -1 is negative correlation. 0 means there's no correlation. Right? Remember here, positive correlation, negative correlation, and no correlation. So it explains to you. All right? So how do you read this table? So the employee engagement score here, so you read the intercept. So employee engagement versus employee engagement is 1 because it's the same factor versus the same factor. So if you compare the employee engagement score and customer satisfaction score, the correlation coefficient is 0.87. It's near to 1. It's positive and near to 1. So it is positively correlated, very near to 1. So it's strongly positively correlated. Then when you compare employee engagement score with revenue, it is also positive. So it's positive correlated, but not as strong as the link between engagement and customer satisfaction. All right. So there is a link here. All right. You can either view it this way or you can view it horizontally, like engagement and customer satisfaction. The correlation is 0.87. And then employee engagement and revenue, the correlation is 0.61. All right. So it is positively correlated. All right. So Excel has done up the correlation table. Now let's get back to our Excel spreadsheet for our next example. So I've done number 1, the correlation, to derive the correlation or the relationship between engagement, customer satisfaction, and revenue. Now let's go to the second example, predictive analytics. So now, predictive analytics here. In this example, I want to predict the impact of employee engagement on an organization's revenue. All right. Uh, okay. Wait. start clearing this data. So I run this exercise. I can click the clear conversations and clear everything. And let's get back to the Excel sheet. So I want to predict the impact of employee engagement on revenue. So to do this, let's select the data, highlight the data, right click, and copy it. Then let's get back to the ChatGPT website, which is here. Click on this box, right click, and paste the data there. And then let's hit enter key on the keyboard. All right, so it asked me the ChatGPT asked me, what would you like me to do with this data? So I want it to convert the above data set into a table. All right, I typed wrongly here. Okay, then next, I can either hit the enter at my keyboard, or I press this button. So it converts it into a table. Okay, it's building the table. Great, it's done. It has built the table. For the various years, what is the employee engagement score, customer satisfaction score, and the revenue. So now next, I want ChatGPT to derive a regression formula to run predictive analytics. So to do this, let's type at here, this box, using the above data set, derive a regression formula to predict revenue given employee engagement score is equal, let's set a high value, 90, and customer satisfaction score equals to 90. All right. So given this data set, I want ChatGPT to derive a regression formula that to predict what is the revenue given that employee engagement score is 90. If it's 90 and customer satisfaction score is 90, what is the revenue? So let's hit enter. Now we're doing predictive analytics. So theoretically, if the engagement score is high, so these are out of 100, right? So engagement score is high. If employee engagement score is high, like 90, which is near 100, and customer satisfaction score is high, near 100, the revenue should be high. High. So you see the higher end of this revenue is about 700 plus is considered high, 400 is considered low. So let's see the prediction. Aha. Okay, so what did it, right? So I asked it, given this data set, to derive a regression formula to predict revenue. So it gave me this formula. The formula to predict revenue is revenue equals to, so it gives me this number times, so this is the formula, all right? Revenue, so it equals to minus 58 plus 7 times employee engagement score plus 5.73 times customer satisfaction score. So this is the formula. So if I want to predict what is the revenue for an engagement score of 90, so engagement score of 90, I fit the 90 into here. And customer satisfaction score 90, I fit the 90 into here. All right. So to use this formula, it tells you to predict revenue given employee score is 90 and customer score is 90. We substitute the values into the formula, into this formula as follows. So equals to minus 58 here plus 7.09 times 90. You see, it's substituted here, this 90 employee score with this 90. And then it uses this number and it substitute customer satisfaction with 90 again. And this is the revenue. So therefore, the predicted revenue for the given employee engagement score and customer score is this. All right. So what it's saying is if employee engagement is 90, customer satisfaction is 90, the revenue will be 1,095. Let's try another example. So what is, no, let's predict the revenue given employee engagement score equals, let's try something low now, 30. Customer satisfaction score equals, let's do something low also, 30. All right. So the revenue should be lower than this. And let's click this. Let's see. I type everything correctly. All right, let's click that button and see. It would be less than this 1,000 because now I have given a low employee engagement score and a low customer satisfaction score. Aha. So given employee engagement score of 30, customer satisfaction score of 30. So they use this formula, right? And they substitute it inside here, and the revenue is 325. All right. When employee engagement score is 30, customer satisfaction score is 30, revenue using this formula is 325. So now I want to predict. Let's use that formula again and predict what is the increase in revenue for every 1% increase in employee engagement score. All right. This question, remember? This was the question I want to ask. Predict the impact of a 1% increase in employee engagement on an organization's revenue. So I've typed this in and let's click this button. So it's building a formula for me here. And yes, this is the answer. So it builds a formula and it tells me that we can expect an approximate 8.93% increase in revenue for every 1% increase in employee engagement score, holding customer satisfaction constant. All right. So you got it. GPT has given me the answer to what is the increase in revenue for every 1% increase in engagement score specific to my company's organizational data. And it predicted this, right? About 8% increase in revenue for every 1% increase in employee engagement score. Cool. Now let's get back to Excel for our third example, prescriptive analytics. So now I want ChatGPT to prescribe interventions to enhance employee engagement based on an organization's employee engagement feedback. So this example 3. So here I have some employee feedback, right? So I have some feedback from employees from an employee engagement survey. And I want ChatGPT to summarize this feedback into positive feedback, negative feedback, and overall sentiment. So if you notice, I only put a few data here. So you can put a bigger data set and use all this data. Okay, but first let me clear the previous data. So I go back to ChatGPT screen and then I clear the previous conversations. Okay, then let's get back to Excel. So so this is the question I've typed here. So I type, these are the feedback from employees from an employee engagement survey. Summarize it into positive feedback, negative feedback, and overall assessment, overall sentiment. And these are the feedback. So let's select all this, right click, and copy. Then, now let's get back to the ChatGPT page. Go to the box here below, right click, and select the paste. Right? And then click this. You can either click this or hit enter at your keyboard. Now let's see. Great. So I told ChatGPT that these are the feedback. All these are the feedback, right? These are the feedback from employees from an employee engagement survey, and I want it to summarize into positive feedback, negative feedback, and overall sentiment. So it gives me here. So the positive feedback for all this is there's friendly colleagues, nice colleagues, good learning point, good learning ground for fresh graduate, and good work-life balance. And for the negative feedback is slow progress, low pay, nothing much to learn, bad management, politics, work culture, political environment. And then it gives me an overall sentiment based on all this that is rather mixed or neutral, right? So if you have a bigger set of data, this will be very useful. It can summarize for you what are the feedback. So next, based on all this feedback, I want ChatGPT to prescribe interventions to enhance the employee engagement. All right. So to do this, let me type here. So based on this feedback, prescribe interventions to enhance employee engagement in bullet points. And then I click this button and let's see what ChatGPT come up. So now I want it to prescribe interventions. Okay, so it's prescriptive analytics. So tell me, sure, here are some possible interventions based on the feedback provided. So based on all this feedback provided, it tells me to increase pay and benefits to address concerns about low pay, provide opportunities for career growth and development to address concerns about not much to learn, right? And then the third point, implement management training and development programs to improve leadership skills and address concerns about bad management. So it gives me a list of 7 points, right? So now let's back to here. So I've covered employee engagement analytics with ChatGPT using 3 examples: correlation metrics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. All right, that's it. I hope that you find the video useful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the HR Diary channel. Thank you and see you again.